Hey, welcome to the live Big Brother chat with Kaysar, presented by SuperPass and Real Player. I am Laramie from AskBigBrother.com. We've got lots of questions to get to in this hour with Kaysar. Hopefully won't hurt him too bad, but I know he's very resilient. We'll be getting questions live from people, and I've got questions as well, so we'll just start right off. Does the fact that Big Brother is largely based on deceit bother you at all?
Actually, on the contrary, I knew that it would be a great platform for me to come out and present my views and my beliefs. There was a stark contrast between how I play the game and how I live my life and how Big Brother is expected to be played. And I knew that that contrast would probably play in my favor as far as my objective went, which was to really drive home a message. I knew I didn't really think I could have gone that far in this game. I was going to try my best. I was going to put forth the greatest effort possible.
We've got a question from Brooklyn. Not sure if she's in Brooklyn, but are you going to leave your hair short now? Do you think you'll ever shave your head again? It looked good.
I think, I haven't shaved my head since probably the 4th grade. So I was a little scared that I might have a couple bumps and maybe a misshaped head. But it turned out okay. So it seems like there's a lot of people that are fans of the shaved head. So maybe in the near future I'll shave it again. But I think for the winter season I'll probably be growing my hair back.
Who was the weakest member of the Sovereign Six, in your opinion?
This year, Howie. Howie was definitely the weakest member of the Sovereign Six because he really didn't step up to the plate. He gave us a lot of, we had those like little pep talks. We had those sessions right before the HOH. He never failed to try to give us that Super Bowl rant. But you know what, Howie? We needed an HOH. We need you to come through. We needed you to really perform and get our back. Unfortunately, he didn't get a chance this year to help us out in that way. But I guess as far as his Jedi drilling goes, he did a pretty good job training Janie. So.
Okay, we've got a question from Jocelyn in Tennessee. Have you talked with anyone at CBS about going on the Amazing Race with Janelle?
Yes, I have. We've spoken to people at CBS. We've spoken to people at casting, people in charge of the Amazing Race, and it seems as though they've expressed some interest. We have to continue talks and find out what that entails. I know that Will wants to be on the race as well, and so we'll see. We'll see what the public wants. I think that's what it boils down to. It's about ratings. It's about what people want to see. But I've talked to Janelle already, and she has expressed interest in also partnering up with me, doing the race, and it should be very interesting and fun for us and for, I think, the people watching.
Did you watch the live feeds after you got out at all?
No, I didn't watch the live feeds. I think that was a bit much. I was trying to follow the show as best as I can. I think I did a fairly good job of doing that. Unlike last year, I kind of just turned off the TV and decided not to watch at all. But this year I did watch. I found it highly entertaining. And it wasn't as serious as last year, so it was easy to digest. But as far as the feeds go, I did not watch. The feeds do tell a different story. It's amazing. But I did try to go online. I did some reading, sort of get some background information as to what's taking place, what the truth is.
I've got a question here from Glowgene. Hey, Kaysar, we BB fans are going through a draw. What are your plans for the near future, and will you keep in touch with your fans?
Yeah, I will absolutely keep in touch with my fans. What I'll be starting to do is I have my site up. It's been up for some time now. It's difficult to maintain the site while working on several projects that I've been working on. But what I've promised is I will be going and starting to blog heavily. I'm going to start providing my views in terms of politics, social views, what I'm doing, and just I think if I provide a thorough blog as to what I believe and what's going on in my life, I think that would probably be a good start. And not to mention, I am still currently working on taking acting classes and pursuing acting as a career. I think that will give me an avenue to continue in the entertainment industry and keep my face out there.
I've got a big one from Christy. What do you feel about the Janelle-Will situation? Give us the
you know what? First of all, I don't even know if it's up to me to feel anything. I mean, it's not really my place. I don't know what was going on between those two. Will tries to make it seem like it was all part of the game. Will, who are you kidding, man? You know what? I had a chat with Will before the game. I told him, you got to be careful because Janelle is very, very convincing. She's very charming. Will's a charming guy, too. So I think it was sort of the battle of the wits between them two. It was good to see that matchup. It was interesting to sort of sit back and watch that whole thing unfold. And I think that both of them got a taste of their own medicine. I think both of them are very familiar with that style of gameplay, both in the house and outside the house. And so I think they both got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. I don't care what anyone else has to say about that.
So I'll follow up a little bit with you. So you feel like there was an element of reality to that?
Yeah, well, the thing is,
at that moment,
it's the reality within the house. There are things that take place within the house that are not sustainable outside the house. Sometimes friendships, sometimes love, sometimes hatred that brews in the house won't last outside the house. People become friends afterwards. So, you know what? I don't want to say that anything could last between Will and Janelle. I don't know. I don't know what the nature of the relationship is at this point in time. But I saw Will and his girlfriend, Erin, the other day, and they seemed very happy together. And she seems like a really great girl. So I wish Will and Erin the best. I wish Janelle and her boyfriend the best. And I hope things don't... It kind of got sticky in the house, and I didn't know what was going to happen afterwards, but it seems as though maybe things are turning out okay.
You actually said you spoke with Will before the show. I've got one from Texas Check here. Was Will really telling the truth when you said he and you had a pregame alliance?
Will and I spoke before the show. I called Will to set up a chat on my site, and that was to sort of just stir up controversy and get the pregame game going. And that was the nature of our conversation. Alliance or talks of alliance came up. Was that alliance honored? No. The thing is, we went into the house thinking, I told him, like, look, I'm going in with a team. I'm going in with my loyalty to them in mind. And so even we had a late night conversation once in the house, and he said, look, are you going to bail on them? Let's make some moves. And I told him, absolutely not. I'm sure someone's transcribed that somewhere out there. And so that was possibly week 2 or 3. Week 4, we were trying to get him out of the house. The reason why we kept him in the house to begin with was because we knew that there was tons of floaters out there. There was 4 of us on season 6, and that there were people out there that wanted to take us out, plain and simple. The only way we can deter that was to keep Will, who was a past winner and who would have been a very big target, and Boogie, who was his henchman. So keep those 2 guys. They're loudmouths. They're out there, and sort of try to deter any sort of and deflect any sort of attention from us and put it on them eventually.
This one's from Wink. What's your relationship with James now? Are you disappointed in him? And I'll put that even more in context for you. I know you just hung out with Howie and Janelle. No James.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Let's not jump to conclusions here. The reason why James wasn't around is because he went home. I think he's happy to have played the game, and that he's happy that the game is over, and that he wants to be with his girlfriend back at home and resume his life, you know, business as usual type of thing. So, as far as that's concerned, hey, I mean, the game's a game. Last year, I think a lot of us took it more personally. The game got really ugly. Essentially, I think he jumped the gun. If he waited a little bit longer, I think that we could have pulled it off. And it seems as though he wanted to take a preemptive strike. He wants to get her before he supposedly thinks that she was coming after him, which she wasn't. But he says inevitably it would have been the downfall of the Season 6 alliance. Who's to say that he wasn't the downfall of the Season 6 alliance? I don't know. The thing is, it is disappointing. He mentioned that we shouldn't have worked with or saved Will and Boogie, yet immediately he started working with them. There was a lot of conflicting messages that were being sent from his side, or from his end. And so those were things that I still don't understand. But as far as James as a person, I like James. James is a friend of mine, and he will continue to be a friend of mine. I respect James. I respect his girlfriend, Sarah, and they will be friends in the future as well. And so that's how I feel about it.
Another big question on everyone's mind, what did you think of Boogie's treatment of Erica?
Oh.
That's something you would have done as well, I guess.
Well, I think, you know what, honestly, I think Erica's a sweetheart. She's a very nice girl. She tried to play the game as best as she could. And so did Boogie, but unfortunately, Boogie's strategy involved playing Erica, and he really ran her through the ringer. And I myself don't believe that the game needs to be played personally. One, I try to play the game with honesty, and so that's where I try to hold myself. But to take it to the next level, I mean, I would say even 3 levels down, and say, take it personally, and then really start attacking someone, or really mess with their emotions and destroy everything they stand for or their name. It doesn't really sit well with me. I think Boogie's a nice guy. I don't think that Boogie took into account the backlash or the ramifications and everything that was involved in doing what he did to Erica.
Well, it still seems like he's not even today.
What's that?
It seems like he's not even now taking into account the ramifications.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't see the importance of maintaining one's honor, especially, I think, as a woman in our society. I think, and from my culture, I think we believe that you have to maintain a woman's integrity, her name and her persona has to be maintained and maintained clean. And otherwise, if she's perceived as a whore, that's not going to go away, and that's not fair. And it's easier for a man to walk away and be perceived as being loose or a whore or whatever you may want to call it, and people won't lose respect for him as much, but it's not fair for a woman, She's a really good girl. I met with her family. I have the utmost respect for them, her brother, her sister, her father, and so it's sad because these people do have families. They're real people. Within the context of the game, I think we tend to lose ourselves, and that's why it's always important to keep yourself grounded and remember that we're all people.
It seems like you were relatively close to a showmance with Erica yourself. Is there any validity to that?
We weren't close to a showmance. I think because of editing. I'm gonna pull the E card. I usually don't, but this is my first time. But you know what? I think Erica was someone I grew close to in the house. I was fond of her. We had our moments where we actually had good conversations, and she reached out to me, and there were times where she got emotional, and I was there for her. She's going through a rough patch in her life. And but as far as a showmance goes, I was not going to go there. I kind of, she told me she was in love with me and she wanted to marry me and all that kind of stuff. So we played around with that, and I told her I would marry her. But it was all in fun.
Did you have a relationship outside of the house before going in, and do you have a girlfriend now?
No, I didn't have a relationship going inside. the house, and I don't have one now. I'm not one to really rush into things. I'm not one to really. My take on this whole thing is I don't want to get involved unless I feel as though something is going to work, because too many people get hurt. Some people were wondering why I mentioned that I did have a girlfriend in the house. I mean, people on the feeds were asking me that question. That was because the girls in the house were just kind of becoming overbearing, and they were all over me. So, and they kept, pressing me about those types of things, and they were hanging on me and stuff. So I had to come up with something. I was like, look, I'm taken. So that didn't seem to work really. So in the end, it was pretty pointless.
Chilltown painted you as a pretty boring player in last night's chat. Any response to that?
Well, I guess if I showed up to the chat drunk, I probably would be pretty interesting too. Unfortunately, I don't spend half of my life intoxicated. If you guys want to get fun, if you want me to be interesting, I can be interesting too. But we'll leave that for another day.
Okay. This one's from Karen in Indiana. Have you ever had feelings for Janelle as more than friends?
I know a lot of people have tried to paint that picture of Janelle and I and as a couple, or as people who could be possibly more than friends. I don't think so. I think I'm a pretty logical person when it comes to these things, and I don't like to put my emotions ahead of me. Janelle is an amazing person. I think a lot of people maybe have different views about her. Either you love her, you question her intentions, or you question what she does, or you question her as a person. I've had the pleasure of getting to know Janelle on a personal level, and I have nothing but good things to say. And so, but as far as her and I go, it's just not like that between us.
Do you know her boyfriend? Is he a decent guy? I think a lot of people have wondered that.
You know what? She speaks highly of him, and I think she's a smart girl, and I think she can make some good decisions. She called me the other day, and I heard him in the background. That's as far as I know about him. That's my relationship with the guy. I heard his voice in the background of a phone call. That was pretty much it. But maybe one day I'll get to meet him.
Of the three other Sovereign Six members, who would you have taken to the final if you had your choice between any of them?
Big Brother is a very difficult game because, for instance, if I was to think who would be the most deserving in the end, obviously it would be Janelle, because she's a phenomenal player. She knows the game inside out. She spends much of her time in the house thinking of strategy, thinking of what could be a possible question for the next competition. I mean, she's serious. And so, out of fairness, I mean, it would be Janelle. Now, if I was to want to win, hands down, I'll take Howie. No one's going to vote for him.
I've got one from Mary in Pensacola. Are you glad you were not ever given a membership to Chilltown? And also, you're way too hot to hang out with those goobers. That's a personal comment, evidently.
Wow, thank you. That was very flattering. Well, I don't think I would have completely trusted Chilltown. I think Chilltown within the game is one that is willing to go the distance as far as lying and backstabbing. And those two, I'll have to admit, they're built for the game. They live for the game. That's their game. And so I wouldn't be able to trust them. It would be pretty pointless to team up with people who are going to stab me in the back. The first thought that came to my mind when I found out that James had defected and formed an alliance with Chilltown, and they called it the Legion of Doom, was you turned your back on us to join up with a bunch of liars and cheaters and backstabbers. What a foolish move. foolish. And lo and behold, a week or two later, he's been given the boot. And so it was pretty ironic. So would I have joined up? Not likely. Maybe out of necessity later down the line. But I think we had a pretty solid team that was performing well in the beginning, and there was no point to join up with them. It really wasn't.
Did you, after seeing Janelle kind of have her, breakdown on the show after Howie left, I mean, were you feeling bad for her? Did you want to help her? What were your thoughts when you saw that episode?
Well, after spending a season last year with Janelle, maybe if you were to ask me this last year, I think my first reaction would be to reach out to her and want to help her. But after getting to know Janelle, I do know that she's very strong. She does have her soft spots. She also, obviously, much like any other human being, needs somebody to be there for her. She's a strong person, but she's like everyone else. And so, of course I want to be there for her. I wanted to sort of be able there to console her, comfort her. But I knew she was okay. And I spoke to her mother, much like last year. And her mother's a sweetheart. And, I talked to her mother on the phone, and I told her, look, she's going to be okay. She always pulls through. And I'm like, if anything, you should be worried about the rest of the house and not Janelle, because she's a force to be reckoned with as far as Big Brother is concerned.
This one's from Triz in Toronto. At the end of the show, long after you'd left the house, you were still about 4 times as popular as Will. Why do you think that is?
Well,
Go ahead,
I think it's because my intentions were pretty straightforward from the beginning. I'm not someone who you typically find on a reality TV show. I came with an objective. My intentions were very clear and concise from the beginning. I think I did something that could possibly transcend reality television, and I want to continue doing that. I think people did see that, and so that's why I'm here today even. I didn't know exactly what I was getting myself into this time around. When I got out of the house, which was pretty short-lived, I asked the producers, I said, hey, listen, I know I was kind of quiet this year. It's part of my strategy. I don't even know if people are still fans of mine anymore. And they kind of chuckled. They're like, just go home and check out the polls. And so I did, and I was astonished. And I still get tons of fan mail. I still get lots of very, very positive and very warm wishes and people and a lot of support. And it's phenomenal. If you were to ask me last year, before going into the house, if I would have ever thought this would have happened, I would have been the first one to tell you absolutely not. My goal was to attain a fraction of the popularity and the success that I've attained today. And so I get the chills every time I talk about it. It's just amazing. I hope to continue to do so. I'm flattered and I'm honored and very thankful to have the amount of people that back me, that support me, and that believe in me. Because there can always be a message. Messages always come and go. But if there isn't anyone out there to listen to that message, the message is worthless. And so I'm just very thankful.
This one's from Glued to the PC, which is a pretty apt name right now.
Okay.
Last night, Will and Bookie said Janelle chased Will for 50 days. He also denied knowing anything about Grapefruit. Were these lies? And are you wondering why you still hang out with those guys?
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't really catch what the question was.
Did Janelle chase Will for 50 days would be the big one, I guess.
I didn't understand what was Grapefruit, something about Grapefruit. Okay.
I think after you left, Will was saying their relationship outside the house was like a grapefruit, and people wondered what that metaphor meant. But you don't have to comment on that. Just comment on the chasing, if you like.
Well, you know what? I think part of Janelle, I think, possibly was enchanted by Will. Will is a charming guy. He's a little pasty, but I think those are for medical reasons. So he says.
A tan is a sign of damage, right?
Right, of course. So I don't. He says he gets enough ambient light, so that's good enough for him, supposedly. But I don't know if his great skin is attributed to the Botox or the fact that he doesn't stay in the sun for too long. But we won't get into that. As far as Janelle goes, she was attracted to him. Hell, Howie was attracted to him. The guy's got something going for him. I mean, he knows he's got a quick mouth. He's got an answer for everything, even if the answer isn't correct. He believes it's correct, and I guess that's all that matters.
This one's from BB813. Very good name there. What recommendations do you have for any girlfriend of Howie's?
Well, oh my God, run. Run the other direction. Or get him enrolled in some sort of 12-step program where it would help him. God, actually, you know what? No, the guy's beyond help. I've tried so much. I have tried desperately to help the man, and he is beyond help. But you know what, Howie's a class in a class of his own, and if you like that sort of thing, and a lot of people do, miraculously, then more power to you. And so I think, to each his own. There are people out there who definitely enjoy Howie and his antics.
Well, Will had Howie, but you had Marcellus. Talk about the affection there.
Marcy. Well, Marcy seemed to have a little thing for me.
Seemed to, yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about that. It's like, thank you? I don't know thanks. I don't even know, what to say.
It seems like you handled it as well as possible.
Yeah.
From Aang, do you feel any regrets for this season? You shouldn't, because America loves you. That's from Angela, actually, in Thomasville.
Thanks, Angela. I don't have regrets. I think the only regret I do have as far as gameplay goes, I should have just stuck to what I know, and which is just develop a strategy, execute, and don't worry about trying to play a different game. And I think I was too worried about trying to play a different game and try to present myself as something I wasn't, which was someone who's going to be very stealth and play under the radar. That didn't really work out so well.
Have you ever had any negative Big Brother reaction?
You know what? Honestly, I have received probably, out of the tens of thousands of messages, I've probably received, from what I recall, 2 negative ones. And they were from high school students who said Muslims smell. It really had no basis. And as far as that I'm concerned, I don't know. It's kind of funny. The thing is, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's been nothing but a positive experience. It's been very good. The people in production at Big Brother have been very good to me. I want to thank them, all of them. If I could, I would thank them personally. I want to thank everyone else who was involved. I want to thank the fans. Everyone has been phenomenal. I haven't really come across anybody. Everyone's thanked me for what I did, but I was just myself, and it was them who had the courage and the openness and the love to accept me for who I am, and I think that's what really matters. And there's been a whole lot of that.
Just going down that route a little bit, do you feel like you have to be the ambassador for a certain culture, or a certain religion, or?
You know what? I'd prefer not to. I think when I'm tied down in that corner as an ambassador, that comes with a lot of responsibility. I'd prefer to be myself, and I'd prefer to be that person who can probably provide some insight, maybe some inspiration. And I think in doing so, if that happens to give up, or if I'm put in a position where I have ambassador qualities, then so be it. I love helping people. I love being there to shed light on issues, and I hope to do that in the future. I've got the ball rolling slowly so far, but right now I'm trying to set things up so it's not temporary. I'm trying to set things up so it's sustainable, and I can continue to be out there and shed light on issues. And yeah, so as far as being an ambassador, I've even met with an ambassador. I met with the ambassador to Afghanistan, and he was a very nice man, and I spoke to him and some of the consul members about what it is they do. And so I got a lot of information, and I realized at that point in time that it wasn't something that was for me.
I've got one from Katie here. Your shirt is so awesome. Did you design that yourself?
I actually, I have a team of designers, and so I simply provide the creative direction at this point in time. That's the wonderful thing of being the boss, I guess.
You have a T-shirt line that's actually a follow-up from Misty in North Carolina. Is there a way we can get your shirts?
At this point in time, there is no way to get the shirts, but there is a line coming soon. It's actually going to be a whole clothing line. We're going to start off with tops, for instance, shirts and sweaters and that sort of thing, maybe even blazers. Our target date for release is Christmas, so be patient. I definitely want to present the public with something good, and so this is our logo, this is the line, this is going to be the premise of the design and the background of the design and what we're going to be doing. It's going to be well, let's just leave it as a surprise.
This is from Julie from Charleston, kind of going back to a prior point. Do you think Erica was actually interested in you romantically? I mean, was it game, or was it Boogie second place in that kind of competition?
I think there was a certain level of attraction. Erica was attracted to me.
Well, how could she not be?
And thanks. And so I think on that level, I think that was genuine. But I worry about Erica because I know she just got off a really, she got out of a really rocky relationship. The breakup wasn't so good to her, and I think Erica needs to be there for Erica right now, and that's why I think it was unfair to really take advantage of that situation, and I think Boogie knew that.
This one's from Bama Jen, who I'm guessing is Jen in Alabama. You're very easy to talk to and feel out. Would you ever consider doing a talk show? Feel people out, rather. Would you ever consider doing a talk show?
You know what? I would love to. I love people. I love speaking to them. I love getting to know them and really delving into real issues. I've always been a people person in the sense that, hey, I'm not the clown that kind of like puts on a show, but I'm the guy who kind of like wants to sit one-on-one and really get into the real issues and get to know somebody. So, absolutely. I think if people want to watch me speak and be a part of what it is I do, then I think there probably is room for exploring that avenue in terms of posting or having a show.
This one's just from BB7 fans, a little bit anonymous there. What's your website? I'll give you a chance to promote that.
Okay, the site is www.kaysaronline.com. It's easy. It's my first name, online.com, and there you'll find a forum where you'll get to chat with other fans, and occasionally I'll stop by. We do have chats there. We used to have them on Sundays, and occasionally we'll have announced chats every now and then. And again, I'll be blogging, so you'll get some insight as to what I feel about certain issues.
Matt from Toronto wants to know, how did you feel about the jury votes in the finale? Do you agree with them?
I've come to realize something about Big Brother. The nicest player probably won't win. I definitely think that on a personal level, Erica was a nicer person as far as the game was concerned within the house. But Boogie and I think Chilltown as a group played a better game. I won't say Will played a better game. Boogie was cheering him on. No, I think Boogie played a decent game too. So I think I probably would have voted for Boogie to win because they played the house. They They just did. It's plain and simple.
This one's from CCC in Jacksonville. What advice do you have for people going into the BB-8 house?
It's easy. Don't do it.
But it did so much for you.
You know what? It was a little luck. It was a lot of, I believed in myself. It did wonders for me. But the thing is, you have to really know yourself. If you don't know yourself, if you're not confident, you will get eaten up alive. You will get destroyed. But if you want to do Big Brother, if you feel as though you can do it, I say go for it. And advice is, make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, and make sure you're a strong person within. Make sure of that. Don't say you are and say, maybe you might not be. You have to know, and then do it, and don't look back.
This one's from Keela, right here in Los Angeles. Who do you admire the most in the house? Who do you personally admire the most of all the players?
I'd have to say I really admire Danielle. I think Danielle from season 3 got a bad rap. Apparently not too many people liked her. There was a lot of people that did. They didn't like her comments about the whole devil thing. I think she plays off the camera. It's just entertainment. There is a lot of entertainment value to it, and Danielle is one that likes to sort of feed off of that. But Danielle, on a personal level, she's a wonderful mother. She's a wonderful wife. She's a wonderful person, and it's a good person to know, and she's really someone that I'm sure the people that work under her at her workplace would say the same thing. I'm sure her kids would say the same thing. She is a good person. She's caring. She connects, and it's important to have that connection. And I think when talking to someone, you can tell what kind of person they are when they let you in and when they let you to connect with them, because that's when you are fully immersed in conversation. And I've had the pleasure of having those types of conversations with Danielle, and I think that she was there for me in the house, and I hope I was there for her. And I think that I think that's very valuable, and I admire that about her.
From Michelle in Pensacola, you're taking acting classes. Which avenue would be the best for you to go as an actor? Movies, soap, sitcom? Which would you prefer, or is it just...
Well, I think I don't want to limit myself and pigeonhole myself in any way. I would say probably, like many actors out there, I want a role with depth. I want a role that is going to be positive or send some sort of message. I want a role that's going to be able to allow me to explore my self as an actor and really to go to distance. I think I've got a pretty serious demeanor, so maybe drama. Maybe drama would be good.
Do you follow any of the fan sites? Do you check out with those?
Last year I did. Not so much this year. I do want to start moving away from reality TV. I want to move away. I do appreciate what it is that has come from reality TV and what I did here, but if I want to start doing something else and moving forward, I need to close that chapter and start moving forward and doing other things. And there's a lot on my plate right now. And there's a lot of things that that need to be done, and I'm doing them. And I can't really follow fan sites and do little things here and there, unfortunately, as much as I would love to.
Did you gain any relationships from this season that will carry forward that you didn't have going into the house?
Yeah, absolutely. I've spoken to almost everybody that has been on this season. I have even started speaking to people from last season that I didn't speak to.
Who in particular are we talking about?
I mean, you know what? People showed up to the wrap party that were there, and we kept things cool, cordial, and everything was nice. I spoke to Maggie, I spoke to Yvette, I spoke to Bo, I spoke to April. They're nice people, you know. I have no problem with anybody.
Donna in Louisiana, which house guest surprised you the most?
Chicken George. That guy's quite the character. I think he surprised America. Well, you know what? If you watched season 1, you probably got a good helping of Chicken George. But that guy's a trooper, man. I mean, he was on slop, and he did not waver. I mean, I got to sit down and talk to him about it a couple of times, and I'm like, look, man, you never complain. You never talk about how you miss your family. And we had a really deep moment. He said he promised his wife he wouldn't break. And I think the guy he's got a lot of depth to him. He's a very simple man, but he's a very good guy. And I have a lot of respect for him.
There's been a lot of questions that came out from that video comp. Do you feel like it was unfairly set up for a person like Chicken George?
Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. We may never know.
This one's from Martini. Which house guest didn't make it into the house that you would have liked to play the game with?
Maggie, right?
Yeah. Honestly, I think the interesting thing about All Stars is each person is a character, man. I mean, each person that you would have probably taken out of the game that was in the season this year and replaced with somebody else, it would have changed the dynamic so much in the game. And I think so many people, whoever the producers would have chosen to be part of the 20, they were big egos, and they would have definitely somehow brought something to the table in one way or another. And so it's not for me to really say. It would be too difficult of a question and too difficult to forecast. But I think, you know, it's like, I don't know what if Lisa would have been in the house, I don't know what she would have done, or Cowboy, what he would have done. I think a lot of people would have been deserving.
This is from Sonia in Beaumont, California, I hope. We heard you talk about a blonde girl you were interested in outside of the house. Are you still pursuing that relationship?
The relationship does not exist. That was my first lie in the house.
Okay.
That was an effort to thwart the ladies of the house. Unsuccessfully, may I add.
From Sue in Florida, how does it feel to be a hottie and sought after by all the women in the world?
In the world, wow. Okay.
Yeah, all over the world.
All over the world. Okay. It's very flattering. It feels good. I mean, it seems to be the topic of conversation where I go now. But you know, I try to focus on making sure that I provide more than just looks, I guess. I try to provide more. I try to, you know, there's more to me, I suppose. And so if you know what, if I can have both looks, I suppose, and personality and more to offer the world, and hey.
This one's from Marge in Illinois. Why do you think James made it so personal?
He took it personally. He felt as though it was a personal attack against him. He was fed up. He was upset. He stated himself that he's an emotional player and takes things personally. And I think that was one. If I was to say there was one thing that was maybe a negative aspect or a negative thing about James's personality, is he is an emotional person.
This is from Becca in Kansas. Everyone wants you to get together with Janie. Do you think it could ever happen? Ever?
Ever. Well, maybe if we were the last two people alive, and I kept flirting with her for hours on end, maybe she'll want that. But then again, I'm not saying that she doesn't want it and I want it. I'm saying maybe, I don't know, there really isn't much between us in that realm.
This one's from Cassie in Oregon. Will you be joining the BB Cast for any charity events in the near future?
Sure. It's hard for me to turn down charity. I think I would love to do as much charity as possible. Let's put it that way. I've spoken to people about doing charitable events. For instance, I spoke to Chip and Kim from The Amazing Race, and I know they do a lot of charity. They're big on that, so you might see me out there with them. Great people, by the way. And so even people with, in the Big Brother department, we'll do some charity with them too. But I want to again move past just doing that. I know there's a lot of reality charity events, but I think there's more that we can do.
From Kathy in West Virginia, did you speak with Erica after the show? Or I know you did, but did she tell you she felt bad about voting you out?
She did. I spoke to her, and she did, and it's a crazy game. And sometimes you make decisions on a whim, and sometimes the decisions aren't the best of decisions, and you feel bad about them afterwards. And she's expressed that to me, and I think I don't hold a grudge. I don't mind. It's going to be okay.
How often do people approach you now that you're outside the house, and what's the coolest thing someone's written or said to you?
Oh my God. God, I wish, you know what, I wish I can get all the fan mail and compile it together and really put it in a book and I want to show people what people are writing me. It's amazing. I've had baby pictures sent to me. People have named their kids after me. I've had, I just got an email today from somebody. Actually, it was a blog on my MySpace. She put a picture of her kid, and she's like, her kid keeps telling he can't wait for Christmas to come around, because the kid wants Santa Claus and Kaysar to bring presents. I don't know. I've received emails from France. Someone's getting married. They want me to write a letter to their fiancé before the wedding.
Sounds pretty overwhelming.
It's pretty crazy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there. There's old women, great-grandmothers who want me to grow up to be, or want their grandchildren to grow up to be like me, and they have like severe arthritis, and you can hardly hear or hardly decipher what they're writing, but they wrote 5 pages of stuff. Wow. And so it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Maybe this is not a manly thing to do, but you know what? I've cried on several occasions because it was so heart-wrenching. Because this means so much to me. This is the most important thing to me.
This one's from Jana in Nashville. Do the producers in the diary room ever give you hints as what the other house guests are saying? Sometimes it seems people came out after diary rooms knowing more or acting differently.
Sometimes the nature of the questions might allude to what's taking place in the house. They'll be like, so how do you feel about such and such? And then you're kind of like, well, should I feel something so about this person? I don't know. Why don't you tell me? And so sometimes, or if you're like hanging out and you haven't been called in the diary room for 3 days, and you see Danielle, who's been in there about 15 times that morning, you know something's up. They're not asking about the makeshift slip and slide in the back.
Have you ever crossed the line in either season that you regret?
Last season, I lost my cool and I got in Yvette's face. But that's because and they didn't show this on television, she snapped her fingers and she cursed at me. Even though I was trying to be as nice as possible. I didn't treat her that way. I was hoping for the same in return. I should have maintained my cool.
This one's from Peach in Lake Placid, New York. Has it been difficult to adjust back to real life since the show ended? I know it's been a while for you.
Last year it was. This year, not so much so. I'm doing okay. It wasn't so bad this time around. I did know that the longer I stayed in the house, the harder the adjustment would be. And so I made it halfway, similar to last year. But for some reason, this time around, it wasn't so bad at all.
From Heather, also in New York, on the live feeds, Will said you often took a fake moral stance as part of your gameplay. How do you respond to that?
The live feeds said what?
Will said that you would fake being moral as part of your game.
Okay. Let's set the record straight. In the Big Brother house, because you're there for such a long time, you cannot fake anything. You are who you are. And so you can try to be something you're not, but eventually you crack. There are cameras on you all the time. They're recording you all the time. And so even if you want to say that Boogie isn't a womanizer, he was. If you want to say that Will isn't conniving, and he isn't, he doesn't use his quick talk to manipulate, we learned that somewhere. I am not the perfect person. I have my faults, and I openly say that. My platform was, I'm Muslim. My platform was, it's okay to practice one's religion much like anyone else. And I clearly stated what I stand for. I clearly stated that I do also make mistakes like anyone else. And so it's not really this thing that I'm doing to appease the public. It's not an act, Will. It's not an act.
Was there a meal that you had after eviction that you've been craving while in the house that you're happy to have?
No, not so much so. I think I mean, keep in mind, I was on slop that week. It was the worst week of my life. I was on slop, cold showers, I was on the floor. Next thing I know, I got backdoored. It wasn't exactly the best week of my life, but I was happy to be outside the house and have some of my mom's home cooking.
Do you think there was a path in which Erica could have won?
I think if Erica was more forthcoming, her demeanor seems to be in the house. She was concealing too much, and she wasn't really good at concealing. People were reading her in such a way that they felt as though that she was being two-faced, and that she was really, she was hiding too much. And even at the end, when Danielle asked her, who was in charge of Danielle's eviction? Who was in charge of who's up to Danielle's demise? And Erica took the credit, but we all know it wasn't Erica who put. Erica was the executioner, but it was Chilltown, and Danielle knew that. So it was about just being accountable for what you did and just being forthcoming. At that point in time, it's just like there's no point of trying to beat around the bush. So I think the Chilltown was also very clear and concise with what they were doing.
This one's from Mark in Seattle. What exactly was slop?
Slop was like second-rate oatmeal, maybe, that had probably been left out for 10 years. The rats probably got in it, left some rat droppings, and it was stale and all that kind of good stuff.
Not delicious.
It was really disgusting. But the thing is, if you're going to eat cheeseburgers for a week, you'll probably throw up at the end. So it's not, I mean, we're complaining night and day. I'm sure people on the feeds were like, what's the big deal?
No, that felt pretty bad for me, actually. Yeah.
You try swap and get back to me. But it wasn't good. I mean, it was. And the only thing the producers and the people behind the scenes could tell us was, hey, it's nutritious. Broccoli is great, too. I don't want to eat broccoli all day.
This is from Cassie in Oregon. Did you think that James and Danielle were in an alliance while you were in the house?
Yeah, the whole time.
You pretty much knew?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever... Sorry, you didn't get more, Cassie. Did you ever forget that you're on camera when you're in the house?
Occasionally. But I think it's not really, this time around, it wasn't really forgetting. It was more like, hell, what are you going to do? You just got to live your life. What are you going to do? There's a camera everywhere. What are you going to do?
Did Will and Boogie's constant name-dropping get on your nerves while you were in the house?
I thought it was tacky. But you know what? More power to them. If you want to be tacky, sometimes you got to be tacky to get ahead in life. And it's, people, you're gonna call them out on that. They probably improve their businesses by tenfold, and we got their name across. And I'm sure that their friends are very happy for getting plugged.
Do you think Janelle would have done an alliance with Will as just friends, or did she need that romantic element to it?
Well, Janelle and I had a couple conversations about the thrill of flirting, and so she really likes to flirt, and so she gets bored in the house, and she wanted to flirt with him, and I guess it kept her entertained as well. It kept her sane, supposedly.
What would you have done with the money had you won?
I would have probably funded a couple projects that I'm working on. I would have tried to set up things that would be sustainable for the future, both business and things that would probably give back to the community. I think it's important, and it's our duty as people to help those who are less fortunate. And I believe I have been very fortunate through this twist of fate to be on television, to be now empowered to be doing what I'm doing, and no question about it.
We've got about 5 more questions for you here, Kaysar. We'll try and hit some of the high notes. From Linda in Delaware, your religion gives you great respect for women, but would you only marry inside your religion?
Well, first of all, thank you for acknowledging that my religion does respect women. Unfortunately, these days, because of culture, it is perceived that Islam doesn't respect women. Well, it's quite the contrary. Would I marry with outside of my religion? Yes, I would, because that I'm allowed to. What's important to me is marrying a woman who is spiritual, who knows herself and has a deep respect for a higher power and God. And you know what? A lot of people do have that, and so these are things that are important to me. And so I don't believe that it's only Muslims who love God, who have a fear for God, who have a deep respect for God. A lot of us do, and I think that's the importance of it, and that's the beauty of it. And so, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, that's what really is important to me.
Here's a chance to throw some controversy into your persona. Diana from Charlotte, would you ever think to pose for Playgirl? And if not, you should definitely be on People's Most Beautiful for 2006.
Thank you. Playgirl, sorry, whatever. Playgirl, not going to happen. No. You probably, on Big Brother, I stripped down into my boxers for that one competition. That's as far as it's going to go. But, yeah.
This one's from Cindy in Ontario, Canada. What was the most surprising thing you felt or you found out when you exited the house in terms of the game that you weren't aware of?
probably the Legion of Doom. I mean, I wasn't surprised that James defected. I was surprised they already came up with a name. That was it. I was like, you guys already... When did you come up with the name? That was what was really shocking. That's why I did this. People were like, oh, poor thing, you didn't know about James. I knew he was going to do that. I was surprised. I'm like, who came up with that name? Whose idea was it? Exactly.
Who was a more deserving winner in your eyes, Maggie or Boogie?
Boogie. I'm sorry, Maggie. Boogie was, yeah.
We let Chilltown go out last night with a phone call, and they actually referenced you quite a bit on that phone call. I'm going to let you go out with a message to them. Obviously, it doesn't have to be a phone call, but whatever you'd like to say to Chilltown, go at it. You got about 45 seconds.
You know what? Here, okay. Chilltown, they're a bunch of knuckleheads. These guys, they like to put on a show on camera. I've got to know them personally. They're nice guys. But all I have to do is just look in the camera and tell them and tell America what they're all about. These guys are full of it, okay? They're fronting. They're putting on a show. Just cut the act, bro. Both of you. Will, you played a great game. So did you, Boogie. But in the end, what does it matter? So the reason why you guys bring me up so much is because you've got nothing but love for me. I know that, and we'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything that's negative here. That's just not my style.
So maybe lay off the booze a little bit.
Lay off the booze. Lay off, especially Boogie. I don't think I've ever seen you. In the past week, I haven't seen Boogie sober, so.
Kaysar, I appreciate your time. I wanted to let everyone out there know we will have another house guest next week. We'll announce who soon, but we're working very hard to get you more guests. It's been a very enlightening conversation. Really appreciate your time.
It's been my pleasure.
Thanks to Real Networks and Superpass, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you.